Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Chaos Child. Here we are in the main menu, about to start True. At what point in the story does it start? Is it a completely new story? I have no idea. Let's find out. Chaos Child. Wow, just immediately. No prologue, nothing. Just go. Sometimes I have these dreams. Sometimes I have them on the night after I get a bad test grade, or when I have a fight with a friend. Anytime I'm not feeling well when I sleep, I have these dreams. And I only remember the dreams when I'm asleep. When I wake up, I don't remember anything about them. The dreams are strange that way. In the dreams, I'm a murderer. The first people I killed were the parents of my childhood friend. Yeah, I figured it was Sarika's dreams, but wow. But if we're in the dissipating light, what does that mean? I killed them because he wanted me to do it. In his heart, he was happy, so I was too. But the murders didn't stop there. I kept killing people in secret after that. Why, you ask? Because I needed to continue the game that the boy longed for in his heart. I'd leave hints and small contradictions at the murder scene so that he could slowly track down who I was. The boy loved the game, and when I saw how happy it made me happy too. In the dreams, there was a man helping me with the murders. It was the doctor who ran the dorm where he stayed. I didn't like the doctor. He wasn't normal. Every time he appeared in my dreams, he'd suggest a cruel, horrible way of killing someone. Don't tell me that this entire game didn't happen. But he would laugh and smile, and always say the same thing. Your boy wouldn't enjoy anything less. Very well then. If that's what it would take for the boy to enjoy it, that's what I would have to do. The man and I killed many people in the dreams, in the worst ways imaginable. In my dreams, I was psychic, and I knew exactly what the man was trying to do to the boy. He was planning something awful. But I knew the boy wouldn't lose to the man. The boy I loved was very, very strong. He was my hero. Oh, come to think of it, there was another man in my dreams sometimes. It was a man I knew well. Normally he was a lazy, easygoing man, the kind you could never imagine doing something wrong. Oh, Wakui? The committee is willing to let this play out, provided you don't interfere with us. We're interested to see what happens to him. He was part of some organization called The Committee, the kind of thing you'd see on a TV show about urban legends. He said he was watching me and the boy at all times. Even for a dream that seemed like a little too much, I said, and almost laughed. By the way, how are you getting along with your everyday life? You wouldn't want to slip up and have someone find out who you are, right? After he told me that, I realized something. In the dreams, for some reason, I didn't have a home. He found me the home of a girl who lived by herself. This is how that happened? Wakui did this? I killed her and I had my place to live. Whoa. And each time he appeared in my dream, he would tell me about the strangest things. D-swords, gigalomaniacs, the truth about the new generation madness, the murders that had occurred in Shibuya before the earthquake, the artificial gigalomaniac generator device, and Chaos Child Syndrome, and the sumo stickers. The other me, who was watching the me in the dreams, would always look down in confusion. Why was I having these dreams? Sure, whenever there was a program on TV about urban legends, I'd watch it, but it was just a small hobby of mine. It wasn't something that should be showing up in my dreams. One day he was scolding me like I was at school. Sending him into the hospital basement was going a little too far, you know. Now I had to move all the things that we were keeping down there. I don't like trouble, you know. Wow, he did it! It was some kind of lab filled with all kinds of machines. I was surprised to find something like this in the basement of a place I knew so well. Oh, no, that's not right. This was a dream. Impossible things happened all the time in dreams. Sorry, as a middle manager type, I have to tell you these things. Anyway, just keep him on a tighter leash, alright? If you do, I won't do anything. You just need to be a little more careful, okay? These strange dreams kept happening. But when I woke up, I didn't remember anything. Just when I was thinking of going to a doctor about all this, I had that dream. It was the most realistic dream I'd ever had. November 4th. It was so realistic I even knew the date. I was in a panic. She had found my secret.
あなたよね。南沢千里を使っていたのは。お前に言われたくないよ。クルスノノ。
And now that makes more sense because we know Kurisu is lying. I'd screwed up and let her find out who I was. How could I have known she'd find me out because of the cell phone strap he'd given me as a present? Okay, fair enough, but how are we ultimately supposed to find this out? I guess were we supposed to just find Nono dead and then we get led to Sakuma later? This actually was a slip-up? I quickly ripped off the strap and threw it away. It made me sad, but I didn't have a choice. I hadn't intended to kill her. Who did she intend to kill then? Her death would be too much of a shock for him. He might quit playing my game. I'd have to kill her without him finding out, and then come up with something. Yeah, which is why it was super awkward for Sarika when we did show up. I drew my D-sword and tried to kill her. No! We're doing this? What does this mean? Are we seeing other paths, or is this something with Sarika being asleep or awake? And then I saw something in my dream. He and she might have a future like this. It said woman that time? I was distracted and missed her vitals. I swung the sword again. But then... Wow, so that's why she didn't get the killing blow immediately. Although you know what this means. This means Yui is definitely dead. It was him. He knew now. I couldn't talk my way out of this. No, 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 no. Run. That was what she said just before she collapsed. Of course she was talking to him. But I was the one who ran instead. I think that's where it all started. Where the me in the dream started to go wrong. And then, the dream ended. He was holding his D-sword high and looking down at me, and I was begging him not to do something. Oh, so this is the end of the normal path. For the first time in my life, I cried for real.
ダメだ。お前は普通の女の子になるんだ。 それじゃさよなら。
Until the last second, I was gazing at the face of the boy I loved. I would never forget it. February 11th, 2016, Thursday. Is this real? Then the normal path was the real one, but what about the others that we envisioned? I woke up feeling something on my cheek. I put my hand up to it and felt tears. Are we Miyashiro again? What dream was I having that made me so sad? Or were they tears of joy? So maybe this is Serika in her regular home? Was the entire game a dream? And if so, what does that mean? I wasn't even sure. But whenever I had the dream, I would cry. It made my eyes all puffy and red. Or maybe I needed to have a doctor look at me after all. But I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't even remember what the dreams were about. I stretched out on the bed to try and feel better. The light coming through the curtains was bright. The weather outside seemed to be very good. Today was February 11th. It was National Foundation Day and school was closed. But I was supposed to go out and meet a friend, so I had to get up and get ready fast.
Aoi? Hi, moshi.
Huh. Well, this is just a new person, I think.
Serika, ima doko? Uchi. Ha? Eh? Mada dete nai no?
I moved the phone away from my ear and checked the time. It was 10 minutes before we were supposed to meet. We're doing the joke music? The shopping mall where we were supposed to meet was a 20-minute walk away. I realized that I didn't remember setting my alarm the night before, and I didn't have a bike. We're not even in Shibuya? My heart pounded loudly. I talked fast to cover up my panic. I told her I'd be there as soon as I could and hung up. I wasn't supposed to go to Shibuya. That's what they told me. They didn't tell me why, but it had something to do with the traffic accident I was in 3 months ago. Oh? Well, even without the accident, I really didn't feel like going to Shibuya that much. Yokohama had a lot of places that were just as fancy and fashionable, and going all the way to a crowded town like that on my day off was just exhausting. I didn't like big crowds anyway. When I saw a lot of people at once, my head would start to ache, and I'd feel something strange in my chest. Was that just another thing my body did? My friends had been nice enough to invite me, and it was my guardian's fault for not telling me why I shouldn't go to Shibuya anyway. They lived in Shibuya, so if I saw them there, I'd tell them that. I leaped out of bed and began to get ready. The contents of my stomach flowed down the drain and disappeared. When you felt like you had to vomit, throwing up was the best way to feel better. The crepes I'd just eaten were gone now, though. Aoi was rubbing my back. I raised my hand to show I was fine. I'd seen a group of college kids having fun, and suddenly felt like I needed to vomit. Why? Or are we doing the sumo sticker thing?
これってセリカの頭の病気と関係あるの？わかんない。
3 months ago, on November 6th in Shibuya, it was the day of the Shibuya Restoration Festival. Supposedly, I'd been hit by a car full of people who'd come to see the festival. I say supposedly because I couldn't really remember it. Huh. So did Takaru's strike really happen, and this is reality, and we're misremembering it, and we keep flashing back? Because if that's the case, I mean, she said my guardian. Maybe she was a normal girl, but eventually... Wait a second. Wasn't the epilogue some months later? Wasn't it 3 months later? Are we gonna save Miyashiro and realize he's a real guy? All I remember was a very bright light. Headlights, maybe? The next thing I knew, I'd woken up in a hospital bed. So we are a normal person, except it's only a cover. We're eventually going to remember who we are, because there was a slaughter on the way out of the hospital. Like, how are we going to get to this? There were wounds all over my body, particularly my stomach, and I was wrapped up in bandages like a mummy. But what was worse than that was the effect it had on my memories. I remembered my name. I remembered how old I was. No, I didn't, because it's 6. I remembered my favorite TV shows. I remembered the day of the Shibuya earthquake. I remembered the faces of idols I liked and how to use flick input on a smartphone. But what school I went to, where I lived, who my parents were, all of that was gone. I tried to remember, but I couldn't. Also, there are no parents. Instead, sometimes I'd suddenly see images in my mind, like clips from a film. Sometimes it was a collapsed town, or rows and rows of TV screens, or a puddle of blood. But none of them seemed real, and I couldn't imagine why I was seeing them anyway. The doctors told me that maybe I used to like watching movies and that's where the images came from. Maybe they were right, I didn't know.
大丈夫？はい、これ。
Ayaka had run to get me a bottle of tea.
Thank you.
I took it gratefully, rinsed out my mouth, and spit out into the drain again.
畜生め。あんたさ。何？具合が悪いのはしょうがないにしても、もうちょっと女の子らしくしなって、もったいない。
Huh? What were they talking about? I felt like someone had told me the same thing before. When I thought about that, the urge to vomit faded away. I think Takaru might have said that at some point.
どうする？私目当ての服買っちゃったから帰ってもいいよ。いや、平気平気。
I felt just fine after that.
単に3つも食べたからじゃない？
やっぱりそうかな。
Sometimes something would happen and I'd feel who I used to be before the accident. Like when I'd seen that crepe stand a bit ago. I suddenly felt a strong craving for crepes. I know he mentioned that gourmet sweets crepe thing for Kurisu in that one vision. And I ended up eating too many. I hadn't realized I liked sweets that much. Or maybe I just liked crepes? Maybe I'd eaten them on a date with the boy I liked? My face went red. No way. Probably. I wasn't interested in that stuff. And if I had a boyfriend, he would have come to see me when I was in the hospital, probably.
じゃあ、映画でも見る？セリカ、お金は
？2 of my precious 1,000 yen bills had just disappeared down the drain along with the crepes. But I didn't have any parents to beg for cash.
生活費の振り込みって15日だからな。
This must have been what a grown-up felt like the day before payday. What should I do? And then, I saw something strange.
あれ、何？
Howie saw what I was looking at and frowned.
セリカは見たことないの？
I nodded. Maybe the old me had seen one, but I couldn't remember.
聞いたことくらいはあるでしょ。カオスチャイルド症候群。
あれが？
Oh, that's enough of that. There were these strange-looking people walking around. No, it wasn't that they looked strange. The clothes they were wearing didn't match their appearance. There was a weird, unbalanced feeling to them. I couldn't stop staring. But the people around them were obviously used to them, so they didn't seem to mind.
確か、地震でひどい目に遭った若い人たちがあの病気になっちゃったんだよね。
So has this become more public knowledge? Aoi nodded.
なんで誰も気にしないのかな。
気にはしてるんだよ。けどあの人たちが悪いわけじゃないもん。そういう病気らしいから。それに
Aoi looked up at the big TV screen on the side of the building. She was looking below the TV at the marquee used for news and messages. There was a message there. Chaos Child Syndrome is a treatable illness. It is not dangerous and it is not communicable. So that's what they're doing? Harassment of patients is a violation of their human rights and is forbidden by law. Let us strive for an equal society free from discrimination. I'd never seen anything like that before. Of course I knew about the syndrome.
渋谷だけだよ、こんな風になってるのは。
Aoi added, when she saw I was still staring at the announcement.
なんか変だもん、この街。いろいろ噂されてるし。
あるある、聞いたこと。症候群の人たちが時々行方不明になるんでしょ。なんか実験されてるとか。
実験って、あんたは漫画の読みすぎ。
とにかくセリカは聞いたことない？そういうの。
知らないよ。
そっか。セリカネットニュースとか見ないもんね。
She was right. I was never really interested and I didn't even have internet at home. According to Ayaka, everyone else had internet these days, but maybe that was just how it worked.
ねえ、お金ないならさ、ちょっと覗きに行かない？
Ayaka flashed a mischievous grin.
何を？
症候群の人たちが入っている施設。私場所知ってるんだ。
Oh no.
いいよ。映画見よ。セリカの分私出すからさ。
The three of us talked for a while and Ayaka won out. I didn't like the idea of having a friend pay for me, and for some reason I wanted to go there.
ちょっとだけだからね。怒られたりするの嫌だし。なんてとこ？どこにあんの？
Is this gonna be the hospital, prison, or whatever that was?
こっからすぐだよ。碧峰学園は。
Oh. It was a few minutes' walk from the station. It sure didn't look like a place for sick people. It looked just like a normal school. There was a plate on the entrance that read Hekiho Academy. I could see the patients coming in and out of the building. Some were laughing and joking around while others were alone and playing with their smartphones. They really did look like normal students. So that explained it. They were all wearing the school's uniform. But why? That uniform didn't fit their appearances at all. It actually made them stand out more.
本人たちは高校に通っているつもりなんだって。
Don't even tell me.
気がついていないんだよ。ここがどういうところなのか。
なんでそんな。
That didn't make sense. How could they not know? They had to know what people were saying about them if they looked on TV.
何が見えてるんだろうね。
No way. Just as I went to take a look inside. Yeah.
セリカ？
I felt a sharp pain in my head and collapsed. I felt my mind starting to fade away, and then everything went black. Oh no, and now the murderer, Sarika, is gonna wake up?
だから明日は休むよ。今日はごめんね。
Okay.
はーい、お大事にします。ありがとう。じゃあね。
I ended the call with Aoi and fell into the bed. I'd only passed out for a few minutes. I woke up and the two of them walked me home. My head still hurt. It was a strange pain. How to describe it? It wasn't a real headache. It was like the center of my head felt heavy. What happened to me that afternoon? I suddenly saw a vision of something in my mind. It had happened before, but this time it was different, more powerful. Like I'd gone inside the vision. I could even smell it. Did it have something to do with before I'd lost my memories? Did I know Hekiho Academy, that facility in Shibuya? I took out my phone and looked at my address book. There were 22 names on the list. The only one on the list who wasn't a friend was my guardian. I started to call them and stopped. They told me not to go to Shibuya. This is gonna kill me. Who the hell's the guardian? Come on, you know that's gonna be a reveal. I couldn't explain what had happened today. Maybe I should just tell her about the vision I'd seen? Who's her? Momose?
あの人は何か知ってるのかな?
When I'd woken up in the hospital after the accident, I didn't have anything to identify myself. No matter what the doctors asked me, I couldn't answer. And then she came. She said she was a distant relative of mine and that she would be my guardian. Well, we know that's a lie, so... Momose? She was the one who told me about the accident. I was an only child, she said. I lived in a prefecture far away from Tokyo. In the fall of my second year in high school, my parents had both died in an accident. I was all alone. And then this person, my distant relative, had taken me in. For financial reasons, I wasn't able to go to the private school I'd been attending before, and instead I transferred to a cheaper school run by a man she knew. But the day before I was supposed to start, I'd gone to the Restoration Festival. I'd gone to Shibuya for the first time in my life and been shocked at the number of people there. I'd been so flustered that I was swallowed up by the crowd and pushed out onto the street. And then a car had come by. And then I'd woken up in a hospital bed. My stomach was badly hurt and I'd forgotten everything. The day I left the hospital, I asked her a question. Can I go back to my old house? I meant the house where I lived with my parents. If I went back there, I might remember something. But she told me I couldn't. Someone else owned it now, she said. She said they'd tell me the reason why when I was older, and she hadn't told me yet. She worked in Shibuya and wasn't able to leave, so I lived alone here in this apartment in Yokohama. The first time I'd fallen asleep in this room after leaving the hospital, I'd woken up in tears, and then I'd made a decision. I didn't have time for crying. I needed to live the best life I could for my parents' sake as well as mine. Was I ready? Was I okay? I was okay. And then I threw away the past. Or so I thought. But that facility called Hekiho Academy and all those Chaos Child Syndrome patients seemed like they were going to make me remember. Stay away from Shibuya, all right? And that was Frisha. I nailed it. She told me that so many times. Maybe it was because she didn't want me seeing Hekiho Academy and the people who went there?
Wow.
It was like there was something I wasn't supposed to remember. No way. This wasn't a thriller or something. Chaos Child Syndrome. A specific condition that appeared in certain victims of the Shibuya earthquake, thought to be a psychogenetic mental disorder. It seems to be a form of schizotypical disorder, a condition where the patient does not recognize that they have a disorder. The originator of the name is unknown. It's said to have come from both a psychologist and from one of the patients. The name appears to have come from the fact that all patients with this disorder were young children at the time of the Shibuya earthquake, and the complexity of the circumstances surrounding the quake and their symptoms. That is believed to be the origin of the name Chaos Child Syndrome. I couldn't stop thinking about the syndrome, so I spent the whole night looking it up on my phone. I didn't understand over half of what I read. Just reading it gave me a headache. And it was all is believed to be, or is said to be. It was like no one really knew anything for sure. Eventually I turned up a page that said, mental disorders are neither real illnesses or fictional myths, or nor fictional myths, but somewhere between the two. I didn't know what that meant, so I just gave up. It also looked like a lot of other people besides me were looking into it too. Some people were coming up with weird conspiracy theories, and others were saying that the very idea of explaining it scientifically was nonsense. I realized as I read that I kept seeing the same name again and again. This is amazing. He was the boy behind the serial killings in Shibuya. That's right. If we were taken out and made into a normal person, they still think he did it. He was just 18 years old, only a year older than me. I'd lost my memories from before the accident and didn't really know what awful things he'd done. I tried to look him up, but when they'd given me the phone, they'd put a filter on it. I couldn't read much of anything at all about Takara Miyashiro. That only made me want to know more. Maybe that was what I was like from before the accident? My personality didn't seem to have changed much.
まあこっちから興味を持って調べないと情報なんてないのと同じだもんね。
This is just sad though, cause we're gonna revert to our insane self. And I don't know what's gonna happen with Miyashiro. Huh? I felt like someone had told me that often before. Who was it? Well, it didn't matter. Aoi's phone didn't have any filtering on it. I was able to find out about Takara Miyashiro right away. It was shocking. It was hard to imagine that someone my age could have done this. Well. He'd killed his own younger sister, and he'd worked together with an accomplice to stuff her body in boxes. This is killing me because we saw the Senri ending. Can we make that one happen, please? Can we undo at least some of the deaths? Then he tried to kill his older sister and failed. His older sister was still in a coma, they said. Wait. She's not dead? What a twist. I couldn't believe it. I felt disgusted with this Miyashiro person. How could he do that? But at the same time, I wondered. I learned that he had gone to Hekiho Academy before he'd been caught. They'd told me not to go to Shibuya, and they'd put filtering on my phone to stop me from looking up Miyashiro. Which meant that maybe there was something there. Something they didn't want me to know. I didn't know what it could be, but it just didn't feel right.
よし
I heard that. I slapped myself a few times on the cheeks to help me focus. I just wanted to know the answers. So I pretended to be sick to get out of school and went back to Shibuya. Okay. I was all ready. I said a silent sorry to my friends who were worried about my fake illness and set off for my destination. Oh man. Can we at least attempt to make this right? When I stood at the same spot as yesterday, I could hear the sound of a chime. All the noise the patients were making stopped, and the whole facility became quiet.
もしかして授業
The place seemed just like the high school I went to. Ayaka had said that the people here thought they were going to school.
どうしようかな
I'd come to the same spot as yesterday, but I didn't see any visions like I had last time. I didn't want to pass out again, but I had had my hopes up a little. That maybe I would see something else. And that maybe it would be a clue to the old me. I took out my phone and checked the time. If it was the same as a normal school, they should still be doing morning classes. I just heard the chimes, but it was probably third period. Should I go inside? If I acted like I belonged there, maybe they wouldn't. No, that wouldn't work. It would be one thing if I was wearing the school's uniform, but in my street clothes, they'd spot me immediately.
どうかしましたか?
Wow, not good. I've been staring at the school for so long they thought I was suspicious. I smiled at the guard as he came up to me.
いえ別に何でも
ああ、君か。しばらく見なかったけど、どうしたんだい? おや、制服は?
Oh my god.
本当は規則違反なんだけど、まあ、多めに見るよ。早く入りなさい。今なら3次元目の授業には間に合うだろう。
I can't even believe this. And then he let me right into the school. Unbelievable. What was he talking about? Uniform? He hadn't seen me for a while? He knew me? I didn't understand. I was standing in shock in the middle of the courtyard.
お、どうしたの?
I could tell the guard was getting concerned. If I didn't do something, he'd get suspicious. Just go with it. I didn't know what was going on, but just standing here was only going to make him more suspicious. I started to walk toward the school building. Man, I am dreading everything about where this is going. But for now, it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We started the true path. And Yui is dead. Ito is traumatized. Kurisu's alive, but in a coma, and we are going to discover the truth. Remember the end of the normal path? Serika found Miyashiro and killed a lot of people. We'll have to see where this goes. Until next time, everyone.